Right, so we've had a little look at a single human cell. Now we're going to look at quality of energy, which is really absolutely, utterly important. So just for a second, I want you to use your imagination and consider three types of fire. First, the log fire, the wood fire. It looks very pretty, has smoke, it has flames, it leaves a lot of ash, but it requires an awful lot of timber or wood to continue to burn. That is not good quality energy or good quality fuel, because you need so much of it in order to produce a small amount of energy. Second one, the second fire, is a coal fire. With coal, of course, it still has a smoke and it still has a flame and it still leaves a lot of ash, but you don't need quite so much of it to extend the fuel that is emitting from it. So a coal fire is not bad, but it's not particularly good. Now consider a prime coke fire. Coke will last longer. There is no flame, there is no smoke, and it only leaves a little bit of ash. But much more importantly, it lasts much longer. So you have three types of fire: wooden, coal, and prime coke. That applies to the food and the drink that you consume. The difficulty is making the choices. You go to a supermarket, you see a whole array of foods, and you're not quite sure which ones to choose. Well, fast food, highly processed food, street food, junk food, it's all the same. That is equivalent to a wooden or log fire. You need lots of it to produce a certain amount of energy. So you keep having to fuel up. The coal fire, well, it's sort of halfway between good and bad. It's what you see in almost every supermarket in the world. Lots and lots of packaged food, processed, but not all highly processed. It's been processed so that it can last longer on the shelves. It's okay, but then at the same time, if you eat masses and masses of it and nothing else, it really is not okay. It'll only provide energy for a reasonable period of time, and then you have to fuel up again. And then you move on to what I call the prime coke, the best quality fuel. Here, you don't need so much fuel. It lasts much longer. It doesn't leave nearly so much ash, and therefore I have to call it the best fuel. Very, very briefly, but I'll go into this in much more detail later. Junk food is, for example, it's just like a wooden fire, a fire based on logs. Very rapid turnover, you need lots of it, and you're always nibbling away at things like crisps, sweets, and so on, just to keep going. The coal fire, halfway between the good and the bad. Yes, you have 3 meals a day, and you give yourself some treats in the middle, and so on. It's okay, but it's not brilliant. And then you've got the good quality. That's the food which is whole. It is called whole food, and it's what you see on the delis, the fish counter, the meat counter, and in the vegetable and fruit areas. This food has not been tampered with too much. It has much, much more in the way of nutrients, and it's much better for you. But of course, you have to be able to cook, and that's its downside. I'm going to go into much, much more detail in future videos, but in the meantime, just think. The cell requires energy. It requires good quality energy, and it's you, only you, who can choose what sort of fuel you're going to use to keep the cell operating so that the DNA inside the cell, inside the cathedral if you like, is protected. See you next time.